Welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders prediction video, the only prediction video on the internet that counts, in our opinion. My name's Karl.
And my name's Mark.
And you'll notice this week that Craig's not with us. He's out recording in Scotland, so we've got stand-in Mark, who you may have seen from previous Rugby League Outsiders episodes. So yeah, we'll dive straight into it, Mark. First of all, we've got to talk about what just took place. Massive win for Leeds over Wigan. That's probably the perfect place to start.
It was a massive win for Leeds because they need the points to get up into the
into the playoffs.
Into the playoffs, yeah. So they're going all out for that, and Wigan, they're hanging around towards the top of the table. So did they just have an off weekend because they thought it's just Leeds and they're struggling, or again, was it just that Leeds are just better and they're finally at the straps?
Well, we'll get into that in a bit. Leeds Rhinos on 26 points with a couple of other teams, so they're all sort of fighting it out for that last sort of playoffs place. But anyway, it's Magic Weekend this week. Have you been to Magic Weekend before?
Yeah, I have. Been a few times, but again, when I've been to watch Widnes Vikings, who are my team, unfortunately, I've not been for a few years. But yeah, it's really enjoyable experience.
Finally, just a little caveat. Who's got the best Magic Weekend shirt this year?
I don't know. I'll be honest, I've not seen many.
There's a few wacky ones knocking about usually, isn't there?
I mean, again, when my team witnessed, when we were doing it, we'd have a Magic Weekend shirt every year, but it would be mainly black and white.
You had the Newcastle football style strip, didn't you, when
it
was up
in
Newcastle? I really liked that one, actually.
I didn't buy that one, but I bought the one the following season, because again, we had this tie-up with the Bobby Robson Foundation. And the one that I bought was where you could pay to have your name put on it. You get a certificate to show that you'd supported the Bobby Robson Foundation. So I paid for... I just bought the one shirt, but I had both my daughter's names put on it. So that's something I've got tucked away, and that was a special one. But yeah, I'm not such a fan of clubs going out of the way to do these shirts that are completely different to what they normally do. I think there's got to be some identity at the Magic Weekend to show all the audience, all the fans who are not there for their own team, to show this is what Wired normally look like, this is what Wigan normally look like, and so on.
Well, it's an interesting point, because Hull KR have been playing in pink most of the seasons. Right, we'll dive into the fixtures then. The first fixture on the Saturday is at 2:30. It's the Hull FC versus London Broncos fixture.
That's a real basement fixture. I mean, I'm not sure when. I'm not sure when these fixtures were thought of, but it wasn't very recently. So I'm not sure they realised, the planners, that Hull and London, it was going to be such a tasty affair. Yeah, to be honest.
So bottom of the table clash this, and you've got to say London have got to be looking to target this to pick up another win.
I think so. I mean, they beat. I remember watching London at home play Hull a few months ago. And Hull were expected to win, and they were doing well, and then Hull just threw it away.
Well, they turned Catalans over the other week, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean,
and they pushed Warrington pretty close this weekend just gone.
People are looking at London and they're thinking, well, they're just because they are a hybrid team where you've got quite a lot of part-time players. I mean, that's what they said at the start of the season. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But you can't write those players off, because they'll just be even more tight-knit, won't they? More hard working, I suppose, not taking the spot in Super League for granted. I mean, but London, they do have some strike players. They've got Hakim Maloudi, who's a French centre, and
player.
He can do things that are just daft. He can just drift in and out, but then he'll do something really special that you're not expecting. I mean, they've got a halfback called Ollie Leyland, who's a product, and I know there's a few Super League clubs sniffing around him if London do drop down into the Championship.
Yeah, I think it's Hull KR that are going to snap him up. I think he's been linked with. It won't surprise me. I mean, there's quite a few players in that London team that I would have thought are probably going to get snapped up if London don't survive the old IMG axe, which is inevitably coming.
He's got a brother called Bill Leyland.
Bill Leyland, yes.
He had a really good season in the Championship last year, and I mean, he got a hamstring injury. I think it was after the first week of the season, but he's been picked up for next year. I think it might be by Hull KR.
Yeah, I think he's
so there's London, but then Hull, just looking at the results recently, I mean, obviously they've not been getting the results, but they've been making a bit of progress. But looking at the team sheet from the weekend, you got your number 1 to 17, and you would expect the 1 to 17 to be the players who you're going to start every week. But in that numbers 1 to 17 on their backs, there was only 2 players within had numbers between 1 and 17. All the rest of the players had the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, which suggest they've got some massive injuries.
Yeah, or players haven't been performing, and they've decided that. Yeah. Well, they've sold a few actually already. It's like one thing with Hull FC, worst disciplinary record in the Super League. Did they pick up any cards this week? I don't know if they did.
I'm not sure. But,
anyway, what's your prediction for this one?
You would normally go for Hull, but I'm just going for London because, again, they've got that, you know what, we are the underdogs. No matter how badly Hull have done, we're the underdogs, and we can just pull something out of the bag. When it comes to it. That's what I'm thinking.
You know what? I'm going same.
Yeah.
I think London. I don't know. I just feel the fact that it's that Magic Weekend, and I think some of the neutral fans are going to get behind them.
But again, what London have got, they've got a 6 and a 7. They've got Leyland at 6. They've got, I think it's Campagnano at 7, where they've just played together all season. I don't think they expected Leyland to be playing all season, but they've just got that spine that just keeps playing every week, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, and they seem to have a great team atmosphere down at London as well. Yeah. I think it's like really sort of close-knit club.
Well, they will have targeted this game as we can win this one. But then they've had some. I mean, the weekend against Warrington, they didn't. I mean, the scoreline suggests they were well beaten, but at the end of the first half, it wasn't like London were going to get beat.
No,
if that makes sense. They were still in the game against Warrington.
Right, we'll move on to the second fixture, which is at 5 o'clock. So this has been deemed to only be the second biggest fixture in the Magic Weekend this week. It's Wigan versus Saints. They haven't got the headline slot, which I found a little bit interesting when I was looking at the fixtures. Yeah,
that's straight. I mean, Wigan don't normally play Saints at the Magic. Wigan will normally play Leeds, or they'll play Wire. But this is going to have some edge to it because Wigan are up at the top. Saints have struggled recently.
Massively.
They have. I mean, they've had some really...
You could actually say this is two teams who are actually both struggling at the minute.
They're both... But yeah, we're going to struggle because they've had two heavy defeats. But I think they've just got that something about them where they can just get back on track. But St Helens have had... I mean, like we're talking about London, and they've got that spine, that 6 and 7. St Helens, they had 4... defeats in July to Cass, who are down the bottom, but they're coming up. Wigan.
They lost to Hull as well, didn't they?
Wire, Lee. Yeah. So, I mean, the other day they only just beat Salford. I mean, only just beat Salford, like Salford should have just been cleaned away. But Saints, they've had their injuries.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like the pressure that's been put on Paul Wellens has been a little bit unfair, I think, if I'm being honest.
Possibly.
They have had an awful lot of injuries of St Helens. But if you do still look at their starting 13 at the minute, it's still a very strong side.
You do, but they've had a lot of youngsters that they put a lot of pressure on. And I can't remember the name, but they've had the fullback. He wears a scrum cap.
Robertson.
Yeah. He looks
Robertson.
a bit susceptible in defence, but he's got the opportunity. He's got to build on what he's doing, and he can break a line.
Yeah, so 100% he can break a line. I think he's one of those players that's got the X factor. Actually, I think in next couple of seasons.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And when you've got a team that's struggling with St Helens and like Wigan, they've got that fantastic youth set up. So when they struggle with injuries, you know where the next crop are coming from, and it just like the national team, it just shows that we can compete in the next few years.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, with London, the Saints halfback pairing as their spine is. You've got to have a good spine that's playing week in, week out, like I said, with London. But with Saints, I mean, Wellesby's been injured. He's not due back soon. You've got Lomax, who's
suspended now.
Yeah, so he's not there. And you've got Dodd, who's been in and out because of form, but he got injured at the weekend. So
Saints are struggling.
They're struggling there.
I do think Wigan have gone into a bit of a rough patch. And it actually really surprised me how poorly they have played in a couple of games. It's not going to help that Irish Smith's picked up. He's going to pick up a ban this week. There's no way he's going to be playing. That leaves a bit of a dilemma for Matt Pete. I don't know what their half-back pairing's going to be this week.
I don't, because you got Bevan French
He's still injured.
He's still injured, and he's not due back until September, I think, from what I was reading.
Yeah.
So what are they? So it'll be interesting.
In
football, they say that the derby form goes out the window, but in rugby league, I don't think you can say that because it's all based on your strength. But again, I'm just going for Wigan on this one. It's a derby, so it should be close, but I just think they've just got a bit more strength in depth.
Yeah, I think...
And stability.
I think people are probably a little bit harsh on Wigan last week. They did play 2 games last week.
Yeah.
As essentially it was an Easter weekend for them, wasn't it? They're having to catch up from the fixture that was from the World Club Challenge at the start of the season. So, yeah, they won the first game of the weekend and they capitulated against Leeds, but I think Wigan will win this one.
I mean, Saints, they had a massively tough game against Salford.
I watched that. It was a Thursday night game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Great game,
It was really, really exciting. Saints struggled a bit, but again, Salford are a good team. But so they've had 80 minutes and then some more.
Yeah.
And they just managed to just get that drop goal, which I don't think anyone was expecting because people didn't know who was going to take the drop goals with Lewis Dodd not being on the field. But anyway, they pulled through that, but I think Wigan will pull through this one. Yeah,
so we both agree on that one. That's 2 fixtures there. Right, so then the big game of the weekend, or the big game of the Saturday night, we're calling it, Warrington v Leeds. It could be really interesting now. A few weeks ago, I'd have said this isn't an interesting game. I thought Leeds, I kind of thought their season was over, but they're battling away all of a sudden, and to pick up that win against Wigan was massive for them. Yeah,
it can go one of 2 ways, because if you've been struggling and you get that massive win, the whole place in your club is buzzing, right? And you think, we can actually do something here. But then you can become complacent, and actually they're playing wire. They're not the top of the league, but they're not far off at all. So for Leeds, do they just keep things down and think, we'll just keep plugging away? I don't know. Maybe they've got Brodie Croft and Matt Frawley, and again, the spine, that's starting to work. You could argue that. But again, why they're just really, really strong.
Miller had a really good game at the weekend from the back. Yeah, I thought it was class. Brodie Croft again played well. So, yeah, I think...
They've got those strike players, haven't they, the Leeds? But again, you still need... To beat a team like I think you need to have some sort of consistency yourselves.
I agree, and I'm going for a Warrington win on this one.
Being a Widnes fan, it pains me to say it. I don't want them to win, but I've got to say, to do this properly, I think they'd just be too strong.
Okay, so we'll move on to the Sunday then, and the first game is a 1:30 kickoff. Lee v Salford. So 2 teams right in the mix for the playoffs, really. I would have said that Lee a few weeks ago were probably a bit too far out, but they've caught everybody up, and there's not much in. They're on 21 points. They're on. The big 4 are on sort of like 26. But pick up a win this week against. Yeah, they've got a chance.
I think out of all the games this weekend, I think this has got the potential to be the most exciting one. Because Lee, I think, have started to hit the straps. I think they've sorted any problems they had out for beginning of the season out. I think they're now starting to hit some form. And Salford, when I'm looking on a Friday night, which game I'm going to watch, because you can have your choice of 3, could be 4.
Yeah, go on. Which team do you always want to watch? And which team do you never want to watch?
If I'm being honest, I don't get inspired. Catalans are a good team.
Yeah.
I don't really like to watch them. I don't know. There's just something, I just don't see them as an exciting team. Huddersfield, Ian Watson, when he was in Salford, he talked a good game, and his team really did play a good game. So when he went to Huddersfield, I thought he can transform Huddersfield using the methodology, give him a few seasons, but they just never
worked.
So, I know he's not there now, but for Huddersfield, they just don't inspire me.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to Lee and Salford, they are actually 2. If I see on the Friday night either of those playing, or Castleford, which I'll talk about in a minute, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got that underdog tag, but you just know they're going to put it all out there. They're just going to throw their ball around. I like to watch Salford play. They've got some exciting strike plays. And again with Lee, when they are ticking, they're
100%. Salford, I love watching Salford play. I like how the halfbacks are quite structured, but they have, like you said, they have those strike players like Callum Watkins. How good is he playing?
I know,
this year? It's like Leeds are wanting him back after 6 years after they binned him off. They want him back. He's having a great season.
As a club, Salford know they're not going to get the star players in, so they have to get those players that they know can do the job, but have lost the way a little bit. And whatever coach they've had, whether it's Watson or whether it's Paul Rowley, they get the best out of those players, even if they're coming towards the end of the career, and they just get everything eventually just ticking.
Yeah.
So Salford, I said earlier on that Saints struggled at Salford against Salford. Maybe it was Salford struggled against Saints because Salford should have won.
Yeah, I agree actually there. I had Salford down to win that one, and the way that Salford have been playing this year, I actually thought they went into that game as favourites. So I was surprised they didn't play as well as they did last weekend. But I think Salford will be.
Yeah, when it comes to teams to watch, both Lee and Salford, I like to watch them because the energy that they bring. I think a lot of rugby league has become very methodical, but they can just bring it out the bag. I'm going with Salford on this one.
And me. Yeah. Should be a great game, this. Very entertaining game.
Yeah. Even
more entertaining, Hull KR, though, they're playing against Catalan Dragons at 4 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
I'm going to go straight in on this one. I think Catalan are struggling. I think they brought Tompkins back to try and get a bit of consistency and a bit of direction on the field. He's now injured, so it's unlikely that he's going to be playing. I watched them at the weekend. They were all right, but I think Hull KR will be way too strong for them.
Doesn't that say a lot, though, that they brought Sam Tompkins back out of... I mean, he's a decent player.
Oh, yeah.
But it just smacks of desperation, doesn't it? And that's the level they're at the moment with Catalans. They're struggling.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of the game against Huddersfield the other day, and they were winning by enough, and I thought, that Catalans will just beat Huddersfield. To then turn it on to see that they're now struggling against Huddersfield. But all KR, just everything about them. For me, they're just like a complete team. They can do the methodical stuff, and then they can just do something like out of the bag.
Yeah.
With Mikey Lewis.
They remind me of the Castleford side from 2000. What was the years when Cass had Rangi Chase playing?
Yeah, I'd say that's around about 2000. I'm going to say was it 2018 they made the grand final, or just before then? But anyway,
it was around that era, wasn't it? This Hull KR side remind me of that Castleford side, and they've got some decent forwards that can create a platform for them, and then they've got the halfbacks and the back line that's got loads of speed, and they've got halfbacks that can just create something out of nothing. And I really enjoy watching them play.
And that's, I think, with the Saints and Wigan game, one mistake I think will make one team win. With this, I think it's just OKR will win because of the brilliance of some of the players that they've got.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going Hull KR all day.
Yeah, but you can't write off Catalans. I mean, they've finished up towards the top of the league for the last 3 or 4 years for a reason. But again, their numbers aren't stacking for them. No,
so it's going to be an interesting week. So you've got Saints, Catalan, Salford, and I think, they're all on 26 points.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really important week for Super League. This is, and the fact that it's at Magic Weekend as well. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, sometimes with Magic, the fixture's decided so well in advance, and then when it gets to it, it's like, we've got this team that's all the way up there.
Yeah.
But all the fixtures are so close to each other.
Yeah. So the final game of the round then is, I don't know who picked this as the headline fixture, but 6:30 kickoff. It's Giants v Cass. This is the game that's going to round off Magic Weekend and be the finisher.
Maybe
it's something to do with viewing figures. Maybe the higher viewing figures are actually in the middle of the day rather than the last fixture. I don't know. But
you normally finish off Magic Weekend with a good game.
Yeah, the biggest game.
Yeah. Or if it's not the biggest game, there's a bit of needle between the clubs, and so it's going to be tasty. But I just don't see what it is between Huddersfield and Cass, other than it being a West Yorkshire derby, and it's in Leeds, so you should have the fans still there. But again, like I said, if there's any team, when I'm looking on a Friday or a Saturday or whenever the games are, which team I want to watch, when Huddersfield, even if it's against Saints or I just don't want to watch Huddersfield because I just don't think they're entertaining.
No, it is an entertainment sport.
Yeah.
And
I should be bigging up rugby league, but for me, it's just how it is.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. The only time I like to watch Huddersfield is if Jake Connor is like up to some mischief, and I think, right, okay, he's bringing a bit of entertainment to it. Like either he's winding somebody up, which I always find amusing, or he's just lost his head and
he's one of those players that can just do like. For me, he reminds me of, again, showing me age, going back to like 1990s, Paul Gascoigne. He could do that daft thing. He could take the line on, he could do that daft thing, and it's brilliant. And that's what Jake Connor's like. And if he's playing, if he's on it, then he can do something special for Huddersfield. But he's been in and out of the team at Huddersfield, just like he was at Hull, because of some other things that have happened. He's not consistent enough. But again, he's that player that can just make things a bit spicy.
Right, so are you going for Giants or Cass?
Cass.
Oh, right.
And
I'm going Huddersfield on this one. Because I saw enough in Huddersfield last week, just about, to make me think that they can probably pick up a win.
I think with me, I think it's my heart as well. Because Craig Lingard, the Castleford coach, he worked so hard when he was at Batley.
Yeah.
He made Batley's team into this team where actually you did fear them, because you knew that they were going to play rugby that was efficient and they would do the job. So again, supporting Widnes, I want someone from the Championship to do well, and I think he's onto something with Cass. They're going to allow him time to build his team. He's not got star players now, but they will invest. But even that to one side, I think Cass will, because they beat Saints the other week, didn't they?
Yes.
So I think Cass will actually just have a bit too much for Huddersfield.
Right, so that rounds up our Super League fixtures then for this week. The last thing I think we just mention it very shortly. Magic weekend at Leeds, good or bad? I've got a very strong opinion on this one.
I've got a very strong opinion. I love rugby league. I mean, last year when I was on doing a referees podcast and you asked, what do I like about rugby league? I love everything about it.
Yeah.
The thing is, there is something that I don't, and sometimes in our country it's the organisation. I don't think we think big enough. And we can't have Newcastle, for whatever reason that is. But to take it to Leeds, I mean, it's not Headingley, it's Ellen Road.
That's even worse.
Yeah. I've only ever been to Ellen Road once, and I just remember just sat there all. It's like that, just so confined in.
It's very, very tight.
Yeah.
It's not
one of the best Magic weekends I've been to. I mean, I've only been for the one day. Our first one, Widnes' first one against Wire, we got battered, but the Etihad was just built. Almost like built for Magic. Had room for stuff going on the outside, but that was away from all the other teams. But we're taking it to Leeds, and it's not inspiring.
Completely agree. I think Magic Weekend should always go on the road, and it should always be away from a city that doesn't have a Super League club. It was always invented to expand the sport, wasn't it? To increase its footprint. Look, we've had some great ones in Cardiff and Newcastle. Newcastle was a fan favourite.
I would have loved them to have taken it to Midlands area, like Coventry. I mean, they've tried it with the World Cup and it wasn't so successful. They tried it with the old Tri-Nations a few years ago that I went to watch. Didn't quite work. But at Coventry, you got the stadium and you got the space all around the outside.
Yep.
Got good transport links. And it would have just been a day out. I don't think Huddersfield and Cass fans and Leeds fans will be treating it as a day out. They'll go and watch their team and then walk home.
Yeah.
So
I agree. So if you want more interesting topics and talking points like that, be sure to check into our Set of Six show, which comes out every Tuesday morning. So at the time that this is going on air, it should be round about a similar sort of time as our Set of Six. We delve into 6 interesting news stories from around the world of rugby league, and we debate it just like we have done with that. For your predictions, please stick them in the comments. I like to see what people who you're predicting is going to win this week. So we'll see you next week. Thank you.